Hi everyone, welcome to a new video. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you all are doing fine. I do have a new drawing tutorial for you today. I'm going to be drawing with pastel pencils, beige fur or beige lion fur actually. I took this sample from lion's mane, so if you're interested in how to draw that with pastel pencils on pastel mat, please keep watching. It will be in real time. It's from my Patreon, so you can find the other 3 fur samples on there as well for the $4 tier. So if you're interested in those, have a look on my Patreon. And I hope you'll enjoy watching, and if you have any questions, let me know below. So I need a base tone first. Let's see, because I see some super dark shadows and I also see some super light hairs. So I need to find a base tone that suits both tones. I think I'm going to go with a base layer of 720, but a super light base layer because those hairs at the top are really light. So I need enough paper texture to be able to draw those on top. But the dark shadows, they suit this tone the best. So the fur goes from top to bottom. So that's the way I'm drawing as well. So this is a super light layer. There's almost nothing on the paper, but it's enough to start with for me. Alright, let's see where the darkest shadows are. Right there we have one. Just sketching that out. Let's look at the direction of the fur. It's wavy, so it's going to the left a little bit more. So I'm keeping that in mind when I draw these shadows. Little bit of brown, 635, yep, on the shadow areas, on the bottom half mainly. Alright, a little bit of blending, though there's not a lot of pastel on there, so not much to blend. just to smooth it out. What I'm going to get started right now is add some of the lighter hairs in there. So a base tone for the lighter clumps of fur. So I can see quite some yellow in there. So I'm taking 105, which is a yellow beige. With a light hand, I'm going to be mapping out these clumps of fur, which flow towards the left a little bit. So I'm not worrying about the frizziness yet, just about the colors, the base colors. And then eventually at the very end, I'm going to be adding all those frizzy hairs. Alright, so this is the very basic underlayer. I do want to add some more color to it, so I'm going to get 625. Just glaze some of this yellow orangey tone on this light fur. Not everywhere. More on the darker strands. And I'm going to add a tiny little bit of this yellow tone, and this is 690, which is a very bright yellow, so I don't want too much of it because it's going to look very unnatural if I add too much. Just for the wild look, just add a bit of this. Bit of blending. And then I'm going to go back to the dark gray 720 and work on these shadows a little bit more again because they faded a little bit. And then I'm going to go on top with brown. I'm going to darken up the whole base of the fur a little bit more, and then after that I can start drawing the lighter hairs. Bit of brown glazing. Alright, a little bit of blending again, but I rarely push hard when I blend, especially with pastels. When building this up, you don't need to push very hard. Now we start to get a nice variety of colors, a nice base to draw our light hairs on top on. Alright, a tiny bit of black, but not a lot. Just a bit in the very darkest shadows. Being a little bit careful with black because it can flatten out the drawing. Okay, time to start adding some lighter hairs. So let's go back to 105 to start with. The yellow beige tone. Now I can start adding those frizzy hairs. Let's sharpen this first, actually. Get that nice and sharp, and then making sure to get that nice and frizzy. So I'm just wiggling the pencil while I take my arm down. So I draw from my arm, really, from my shoulder, and not really from my wrist. So while I move my arm downwards, I twist the pencil and wiggle it around. These are not the lightest hairs yet, so you don't need to push very hard. All right. Then I'm just going to tap that in. So I'm not smudging, but I'm just tapping to push that in the paper and to make it blend with the layers beneath. And now I'm going to get this color 681. And with this I'm going to add even lighter hairs, but with a salmon-y tone, which is going to contrast the yellow quite nicely. Okay, so now I'm going to go to the darkest shadows again, and now I'm putting the brown very carefully in between the light hairs I just drew. Just hype up these shadows a little bit more. A little bit more yellow, or yellow beige actually. And it's difficult to not overdo it, to not blend too much or add too many layers. Eventually it's going to only take the quality of the texture down. So you have to know when to stop. And I think I'm almost ready to stop. A bit more orange glazing on the bottom half. And in between strands. Some glazing, so my pressure is so light that the hairs are still visible, the individual hairs. Alright, so final hairs. And then I'm done. Maybe a tiny bit of glazing as well with this pinkish tone to contrast the amount of yellow. Get some more depth in there. That's 642. Alright, so that concludes this video for today. I hope you found it interesting and helpful. If you have any questions or suggestions, let me know in a comment below. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for new videos, and then I'll hopefully see you in the next one. Bye guys!